What is going on, guys? It is Livid Fray. Hope you guys are all doing very well today, and I hope you guys are enjoying Global Event Ambush so far. Like I normally do, I will get into this global event, into all of its modifiers, and then I'm going to go over some of the ways that I think you guys will have an easier experience getting some of the commendations done. Before I do get started, I just wanted to take a second to thank my channel members. You guys have really supported me through this whole journey of trying to make Division 1 content full time. I greatly appreciate you guys that have taken the time to like, subscribe, comment, share your opinions, give your guys' super chats, super thanks, and probably best of all, becoming a member of the channel really means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for believing in me, and I am greatly appreciative of you guys. If you guys are interested in becoming a channel member, all you have to do is press the join button next to the subscribe button on my channel. There's also a link in the description you guys can check out. Becoming a member gives you guys unique sub badges, emotes, things like that you guys can use during my live streams as well as in the video comments. The more members that we get on the channel, the more opportunities I have to give you guys like more emotes to use, and I will also be considering adding like new tiers to that where you guys can pay a little bit extra to receive a lot more benefits. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video, Global Event Ambush. Ambush is amongst one of the special GEs simply for the fact that you will increase your raw base damage simply for staying still. I am not personally 100% sure how much the base modifier damage is when your meter is all the way filled. I did hear from someone that it is 2.5 times higher than your actual base damage. I have not tested this personally. This was tested many years ago by like veteran players, so I just take their word for it. I don't feel like doing the math for it, so that's kind of what I'm going to tell you guys, is that the base modifier for the GE ambush that you receive at a full meter is 2.5 times higher than your current output damage. So let's go over all of the modifiers, starting with the global modifier ambush. Agent deals increased damage when stationary. This does of course apply everywhere in the game, including DLCs. The only place where global event modifiers never take place is in PvP combat against other players. The activity modifier is called covert ambush. This is where your health diminishes when your agent moves. This is definitely really buggy. It's been a long time since I played this GE, so I don't remember if it was always this way or if it's just due to the poor server health, but this is really buggy. It does happen like in and out of combat, especially in some of the missions like Queen's Tunnel, where there's NPCs on the outside of the mission that are causing you to be in combat while you're inside the mission, so your health will diminish in those situations. So just keep that in mind when you're playing through the missions. And finally, the group modifier is strategic ambush. This is where your health will diminish when you are close to other teammates. I do want to put this into perspective for you guys a little bit. This is nowhere near the same amount of brutality as Outbreak. If you guys remember, your guys' health would diminish as you guys were close to other teammates, or if you were close to the enemies. This is not like that at all. It's a very small amount. It doesn't do that much of effect on your screen, but it is noticeable. So just keep that in mind, that there will be a little bit of pressure when you have these modifiers on, and you do have to take them into consideration when you're trying to do the commendations. So the classified gear sets that you guys will have available this week are going to be Alpha Bridge, Firecrest, Hunter's Faith, and Tactician's Authority. This is probably the best way that you guys can be getting your Tactician's Authority, and I personally really enjoy Hunter's Faith as well. Both of these builds are going to excel in this global event. I'm not really sure why they threw Alpha Bridge in here. It doesn't really fit. But yeah, Alpha Bridge is fun to play with, especially for PvP. Otherwise, I think that your priority should be absolutely Tactician, and then after that, go for Hunter's Faith, and then you can choose amongst yourself for Alpha Bridge or Firecrest. However, I do personally think that Firecrest is one of the least valuable gear sets in the game. I am currently working on a video for the gear sets, which ones you guys should be working on or scrapping or whichever. Keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, my personal opinion in order of priority is pretty much Tactician's Authority, Hunter's Faith, Alpha Bridge, and Firecrest. The missions that you have to work with this week for the playlist are Queen's Tunnel, Times Square Power Relay, Broadway Emporium, Police Academy, and Dragon's Nest. As usual, you guys will have 3 masks that you can work towards for this GE, the first one being Bug. This is from the Motion Blur Commendation. You'll need to kill a total of 100 enemies while moving. This is done in 4 stages, first 25, 50, 70, then 100. The next mask is Haze. This one is from the Personal Space Commendation, to kill a total of 250 enemies while you are near an ally in strategic ambush. This one is going to take you the longest amount of time for sure. It's done also in 4 stages of 30, 80, 150, and 250, and it needs to be in World Tier 5, hard difficulty or above, and and in strategic ambush. I'm still working on this one personally, but I figure I could always random matchmake and get in with teammates for this one. I think the best way to do this is either with Hunter's Faith or Tactician, something where you can just remain stationary and get your kills. Lone Star would also work really well. Towards the end of this video, we're going to go over a few builds that I think are necessities to have for this GE to really help you clear that content a lot faster. And then the last mask that we have to go over is Cage. This one is probably the easiest. This one just makes you kill 400 enemies total while stationary. 400 seems like a lot, but I promise it racks up really quickly. Goes in also 4 stages of 50, 100, 200, and 400, basically doubling the amount each time. I definitely finished this mask first out of all of them. Very simple. It's just a lot of kills, so you'll get it done pretty quickly. There are 4 commendations that reward arm patches. Those ones are the Ambush Boss Killer, Close Quarters, Full Sweep, and Surprise Punch. The Gone Hunting patch is rewarded from the Boss Killer. This one is just killing a total of 150 bosses during ambush. This one's also really simple. You guys could, if you wanted to cheese this, I think the best way would be to do Dragon's Nest. Just respawning every time after the 4 Horsemen. After you take out the 4 Horsemen, just restart that encounter and you should be able to farm them there. I haven't actually tested to confirm if this works, but consider you can farm Lorraine Barrett and other GEs. You can also use her for this if you want to. That is also an effective way. I just figured that the 4 Horsemen would be a better idea since it doesn't matter what kind of type the enemy is. It can be the cleaners, it can be LMB, whatever. You can also just do your regular open world boss runs. I don't think that it has to be done inside missions. There's really, you can also do Dark Zone. Dark Zone is also a really effective way to do this one. Just pick your poison. It shouldn't take you too long to do. I finished it on the 2nd day of the GE. So the next one is Close Quarters. This rewards the Shoulder Buster patch. This one is completing the ambush playlist using only a shotgun. The best way to do this, honestly, is to just use a Tactician build. You can have equipped like a showstopper, or what I did was I had a double barrel sawed off with like a low gear score, and it had like, you know, determined predatory rolls on it. Just use that. Very simple. It's crazy how strong Tactician is for this GE, so you don't need like the extra rolls and stuff on your guns to make them better. I just had that and it worked out perfectly. The next one is the Full Sweep Commendation. This rewards the Clear and Hold patch. This is killing 5 enemies within 8 seconds on any ambush playlist mission. This is the only patch that I got from when the global events were active like a while back, so I don't really remember how I did this one. It should be really simple though. I think honestly one of the more effective ways you could do it is with grenades, because grenades while you're staying still in this GE are also really strong, so you can work on getting your grenade kills done as well as getting this patch done, because this one must have been easy enough because it was the only one that I had completed from the last GE. And the last patch that we have is the Sucker Punch. This is from the Surprise Punch Commendation. This is from melee killing 100 enemies during ambush. So by far the easiest way to get this done is from D3. I had equipped D3 on like a full skill haste loadout, 9k stamina of course, and I just went in through Amherst's apartment. I think I did 3 runs total and I got it done. You can destroy their armor a little bit and then you can manage to knock them down in 1 hit. However, on hard difficulty, D3 will 3-tap enemies. It doesn't matter if they are superior or elite enemies. You will 3-tap them. Your melee damage might go up if you have damage to elites equipped on the build, if you are going up against elites, of course. I haven't really tested that to make sure. I'm not sure if the modifier increases the melee damage or not. I tried it on the first mission that I did and it didn't work, but that could have been bugged out. So maybe the modifier did help me out during Amherst. I'm not entirely sure. You can do this through any hard difficulty mission though. Some of the other players in our Discord were doing the Police Academy. That's great as well. That way you'll actually earn some extra GE credits from that. I was just doing Ambush because it's like the shortest mission. There's no time constraints on it, so that's completely up to you guys, whatever you want to do. Other than that, there are quite a few commendations that just require you to do all of the missions within the playlist. There's the ones where you need to do like only tech wing skills. This is going to be the hardest one for players with Dragon's Nest. I'm coming out with a video on what my team did to get this done and the builds that we used to get it done. The best way to do this is just using a 5-piece Nomad with Pharaoh. You guys can get it done pretty easily with that. However, you guys need to keep in mind that the fire on the floor in that last room is brutal, so have some EDR rolled on the build. I wouldn't necessarily recommend speccing so much into burn resistance. I don't think it's going to help you very much. You're always going to be on fire in that last room, so I would spec more into EDR so you take less damage. I think that's going to be the best case scenario for you guys, but again, I'm going to come out with a video for that. I promise. It should be out either today or tomorrow. But honestly, when it comes to the commendations for the ambush GE, these are all super easy. You guys are probably going to get, I would say, like 4 or 5 commendations done in one run, as long as you're working on at least one of them, if that makes sense. So for example, there's a lot of them that just require you to do all of the activities within the mission playlist with only using tech wing skills without going down or dying. Really, it's going to be pretty simple. As long as you're working on one of them, you're working on almost all of them, if that makes sense. The Dragon's Nest one, I won't lie, is probably going to be your most challenging, not so much time consuming, but challenging. Again, I'm going to come out with a separate video for that because I think that the builds are what are going to make or break that situation for you guys. So I'm going to go into depth on that, and I don't want to put that in this video because it's going to take way too long. So let's get into some of the builds that I think are going to be the most essential for you guys to use for this global event. Starting off first, really plain and simple. Obviously, any kind of striker build that you have will do great. Just kind of keep in mind to be stationary or to move around. Obviously, if you're working on the while moving commendation, that's great. I think I use striker for the majority of those kills. You can use a 9K. 9K is probably the greatest one to use because you're going to be all up in their face. You can use shotguns to make it easier. Definitely striker is one of the top contenders, but honestly, tactician, you guys. Tactician's going to be your best friend for this GE. I was able to go through Amherst's apartment on legendary solo in like 8 minutes. That's honestly kind of long considering that some players can like speed run this in like, 5-6 minutes. But just for someone who's using tactician, it's an all kill. I killed all the NPCs in like 8 minutes with tactician. Extremely easy with the hunter. Honestly, tactician is going to be your best friend. You can one tap the elite shield guys in legendaries with the BFB. It's amazing. Try it for yourselves and see how you like it. And considering the fact the majority of the commendations revolve around you only using tech wing skills, this is kind of a no-brainer that tactician is going to be on top of this GE. The next contender is going to be Lone Star. Lone Star is incredibly strong, especially with the Big Al. Paired up with the Big Al's exotic talent while in cover, this one's going to be an absolute powerhouse. Yesterday, I went in with Lone Star towards the end of the evening when I was kind of done for the day. I just decided to work on some of the LMG kills that I needed for my LMG commendation. I went into the Clear Sky on challenging with a Lone Star build. I used an ammo cache support station and a smart cover, and I just took cover up here on the top right corner. I was able to get I think almost 700 kills with LMGs in one sitting. Very boring. However, it's going to be the easiest way to get these ones done. Highly recommend using this time effectively for the ambush GE modifier. The next builds that I'm recommending are really any kind of sniper build. You can use Hunter's Faith. You can use something along the lines with the Skull MCs and Reckless. You could do Deadeye or Sentry's Call. All of these work really, really well this GE. So with all that being said, let's just get into some of my final thoughts and final tips and tricks for getting through the ambush global event. For starters, I want you guys to make sure that you are keeping the main commendations in the game that you need in mind. Things like the sniper kill commendations, LMGs, shotguns, pistols, skills, things like this, they are all going to matter for this global event considering how much raw damage output you're going to be doing. It's going to help you get these commendations done a lot faster, including things like grenade kills. Grenades do a lot more damage during ambush, so make sure that you guys are using ambush to its full potential and getting some of these other commendations done while it's active. Also, if you guys have been avoiding getting kills done inside survival, if you've been avoiding your hunter kills, now is a really good time to do that because this obviously does work inside the DLCs as well. So sniping the hunters is going to be a lot more effective. You're able to pretty much one-tap the hunters the majority of the time with that custom M44. Another piece of advice that I want to give you guys is probably to avoid Predator's Mark. I thought, I had an idea in my head that Predator's Mark would be OP for this, but it's actually not the greatest. You would be surprised at how quickly you're actually just going to eliminate the NPCs before the bleed actually procs. If you do get into a situation where you actually do proc bleed, it does do a bit of damage. I was using it earlier though, and I really didn't notice a difference with the actual bleed damage. So I don't know if it actually works with the modifier or not. It could have just been one of those scenarios where I just didn't have a whole lot of crit chance by myself. It's usually better with a strong pulse. In general, I wouldn't recommend Predator for this because after testing it out, I did realize that you are going to be killing the enemies before the bleed actually procs. So you're best off using something like Striker or, any other build really besides Predator's Mark. A few things to keep in mind in regards to the modifier is that once you begin combat, your meter will begin at a full charge. So if you start moving, it's going to drain, but if you stay still, it's going to stay full. Another thing is that if you stay in cover, it doesn't matter if you're moving around in the cover or not, the meter will stay full as long as you're in cover, and it also stays full while you are nimbling between covers. So try to use your covers as much as you can. Normally, a veteran player is going to suggest to you guys to not use hard cover as much, but for this global event in particular, it does make a huge difference. A talent that I would consider running for this is the evasive action talent under the tech wing. This one does reduce incoming damage by 30% while you are moving cover to cover. This can help in very specific scenarios. Also, if you are limited to only high-end gear, I would recommend using the nimble holster. This will help out quite a bit for this GE. I think that's all the tips and tricks that I can think of for the sake of this video. If I think of any more, I promise to leave them in the comments down below. And if any of you guys have really good advice, I will make sure to pin that to the top for as long as I can, and then I might replace them here and there with like other bits of advice so you guys can see a little bit of everything whenever you rejoin the video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this GE. This one's probably the most fun out of them, besides ones like Blackout and things like that, but it's all personal preference. Let me know which one your guys' favorite is. I'm really curious to know. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the GE, and I will talk to you later.